What's up, everybody? Welcome to RRY Engraving. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're a returning viewer, I appreciate you hanging out with me yet again. I'm not going to make a long intro. Let's just get right into it. We're engraving a dog bowl. We're going to be using a rotary. We're going to be using the Rotoboss Talon. And I'm going to show you how to set up the Talon. Then I'm going to show you how to set up LightBurn. And then we're going to engrave this and do a full wrap, not making it join full wrap like that, but we're going to go all the way around the bowl and put some paw prints and then a name and make it look nice. So with that intro out of the way, let's just jump right in to setting up the Talon. All right, here we have the Rotoboss Talon. It's still mounted on its frame, and I'm going to need to take it off of its frame because the frame will, where I need to place the dog bowl, will want to extend off of the Galvo bed. So this will hang off. So in order to prevent that from happening, I'm just going to remove it from the frame, and then we're going to mount it on its mounting block that we use for the Galvo style lasers. All right, so let's remove the Talon from the frame. And just like that, it removes. Now we're going to want to add it to our space. And the dog ball will fit when the Talon was in its lowest position on the frame. But to make sure we have the extra space that the magnets provide, I'm going to mount it on the highest position. Just to make sure we have enough clearance. And just like that, we're ready for mounting on our Galvo table. Now we need to decide how we're going to grab hold of this dog bowl. Well, when we look at our Talon extension arms, and notice that we have all these holes where we can adjust where our jaws are going to be. I'm going to place it in the next to the last position, and I'll show you why here in a moment. So with it in the next to the last position and lined up, you can use the handy thumb screws that are included. Now I'll just screw that down, and then we have jaw 1 in position. Now you could pick any of the jaws. I'm just choosing to use the longer one. There are shorter ones, there's shorter skinny ones, and shorter fat ones, but I want the long ones so that they really get a good grip on that dog bowl. I'll just set this one up the same way. All right, now we have everything is, so you just double check, make sure everything's lined up, that we're good to go. And let's double check our dog bowl. All right, we are getting a nice firm grip. Now, why did I choose to not use the outside? Because with this 4-jaw rotary, I can actually set this bowl down on top of it and let it index onto those extension bars. So there's a view of that. So you can see how they're sitting flush on the dog bowl. So I know that it's straight and centered. You can even set it on top of it like this and tighten it up. And now we have a dog bowl that's centered and isn't going anywhere. It's nice and smooth, ready to go. Now all we have to do is mount this to the Galvo, or mount the bracket to the breadboard, and we're ready to go. And we do have a little less than a 5mm wrench clearance between the dog bowl and the breadboard, and that is on the highest settings, so we are good to go. Now, if I had something that was even larger and it looked like it might hit the breadboard or was going to, then I would figure out a way to use the frame, but I don't need it, so we're just going to run with the Talon just as is here, and then we can use our 5mm thumb screws that are included, attach it to the breadboard, and get it centered up and down and side to side. And here are the thumb screws. I haven't even opened them yet. All right, so that's enough time over here. Let's get over to the laser and get this mounted. And to do that, we'll use the help of LightBurn, creating a framing cross on the dog bowl. We'll put it at the focus height, so we'll make sure we're in focus where we want it on the dog bowl, and then we'll get it nice and straight this way and in the center this way, and then we'll know we have it lined up and we can fasten it down. All right, we're going to be using the Hotian 60-watt CO2 Galvo today. I'm not going to turn it on yet. First, we're going to take you to LightBurn so that we can make our framing cross, and it's extremely simple. So we select our correct laser, and then hold shift to draw a straight line, then escape, we're using the pen tool, and then click, hold shift to draw a straight line, click, then escape, and then grab your selection tool, hit P to center this one, hit P to center this one, and now we have a framing cross. We'll make those blue and group them. Now, it's going to get loud. I'm going to turn the laser on. Hopefully, voice isolation works and helps to combat the noise, because this thing sounds like a jet engine. All right, now that we're at the laser and we are in focus, let's go ahead and frame our centering cross. And then what we want to do is make sure that we have going across the X top dead center. So what I'm looking at is making sure I'm hitting the center of this knob. That's a great reference point. So once I'm at top dead center, I want to try to get this line on the Y centered as best as I can in between this area, which is going to be engraved. If it cannot be centered, we can adjust that with LightBurn, or we can just scoot it over in the design so that we're framing it exactly where we need it to be. So just make sure we're at top dead center on the X. And I am going to have to move this back. That's going to be the closest that I can get to centered on the Y, but make sure we're centered on the X when we put a screw down. and we're exactly where we need to be. And put the second one in and make sure we're square. All right, so now we are top dead center, and we should be squared up. Then we can adjust our graphic. Just move it over to the left a little bit, and we'll have it centered where we want it to engrave. But the most important thing is making sure we're top dead center across the X. All right, before I jump back into LightBurn, I have the dog bowl. And what I'm going to do is use my center finder tool. Oops, put it upside down. Use my center finder tool so that I can get the exact diameter of this object. And the object is a dog bowl. Let's push this out. All right, so using my center finder tool, you can look right there and see that we at 172. So 172 millimeters for the diameter. Now we're ready to go to LightBurn. So the first thing we need to do is go to Rotary Setup and type in 172 for our object diameter. That gives us a circumference of 540.354. 540.354. I'm going to make a rectangle, unlock the aspect ratio, and the width is going to be 530.354. So that's going to be the whole circumference. Now for the height, all we have to do is take our calipers and just measure the engravable area there. And I'm going to make sure I get in between the rounded parts, so we're at 46 millimeters. So back in LightBurn with our aspect ratio unlocked, height 46. Then I'm going to lock it, and then this is a template, so we're just going to use that as our template. I'm going to work down here so that I don't have to worry about the grid lines. And what I want to do is basically divide this in 6 parts and put a dog paw here, a paw here, a name in the center, a paw, and a paw. And to do this, what I've found is if we take the circumference and divide it by 12, so we're doing 6 objects. So we'll take our circumference, divide it by 12, and that gives us a measurement. Then we place each object, the center of each object, that far away from the right edge and left edge of our template. And then we can add the other items and have it distribute horizontally on centers, and we'll have everything lined up perfect. Okay, so I'm going to bring in a dog paw, and then I want to rotate this slightly. And then I'm going to make a copy of it. And then I'm going to just reflect it so that it's rotated the same angle but in the opposite direction. So we're going to have one paw here, roughly, and one paw down here. And then I'm going to Control D to duplicate and move this over here. Control D to duplicate, move this over here. And then we're going to put some text. And this is actually going to take up 2 of those dog paw spots. And I'm going to add another one and another one. So you can Control C and Control V or Control D and drag it over, however you want to do it. But we just want to make sure we have 6 spots. So now let's do some math. I'm going to use LightBurn. Control C, Control V. So all we want to do is take our circumference, which is already populated up here, hit the / so we have that divided by 12. That gives us 44.196. So we know that we need to be 44.196 away from the edge. So if we snap that to the edge, and then we snap this to the center of that box, and then we copy this box, and then snap it to the edge. I want to snap, let's do it this way. There we go. Now let's snap this to the center. There we go. Now let's select the 6 dog paws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So hold down Shift while you're clicking. And then go to the top, hover over where it says Distribute Selected Objects Horizontally on Centers. Click that, and it will put an equal amount of space into all of those dog paws. Now, I already said we're going to use the name. So I'm going to take these two and drag them out of the way. Take the name and put it right in the center, because it's going to be right in the center of our template, and it just snaps right to the center. Then we can put the dog's name in, and then choose a cool font. So let's say we like that one. Now let's make sure everything is horizontally centered and lined up. So I'll select these 6, and I'm going to hit my horizontal align. Then I'm going to select this last horizontal align. So now everything is centered. And just like that, we have our template for our 360 engrave. You'll notice this is half the space that this space is. This is half the space that this space is. So whenever we wrap it all the way around, it's going to be equal spacing between the paws and an equal space on each side of the name. So then what I want to do is group these, Control G, and I want to rotate it to the orientation our rotary is in, and this will be the correct orientation. Hit P to center it, and then we can frame it. So when we frame this, we'll see where these lines are, and then we can always adjust it to the left or right to line up with the dog bowl. So let's do that. Now I have it framing, and we're pretty close to being lined up. Make sure that you're framing in bounds mode. Then you can just make slight adjustments, click frame, and then we'll get this lined up perfect. You double check it again. Looks like with my reading glasses on, I need to come, let's see, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ½ millimeter. So now that we have our template lined up, we know we're top dead center across the X, Y is lined up, we are ready to do one final test and make sure that our steps per rotation are working. So we know that our circumference is 530.354. So let's go ahead and click Start. We'll get this dialog box that pops up. And what we want to do is type in this number, 530.354. And that's going to jog the object, the dog bowl, a full rotation. If that's our circumference, that should be a full rotation. Okay? So then we click jog. Before I click jog, I'm going to show you what I do just to make sure I have my steps correct. let's go back to that framing cross. So I'm going to frame that cross again, and I'm going to do it in contour mode. But it never hurts to double check. What if something changed? Something within your settings in LightBurn, or you select the wrong laser and it has different steps. This is a good chance, or a good opportunity for you to catch mistakes before they happen. So put some masking tape, top dead center. Now let's go back to our framing cross and click frame. Draw a line across the x-axis. Then go back and select your graphic. Click Start. Adjust your jog to be the circumference at 530.354 in this case. Once you have that entered in there, don't hit Start. Click one of the jog buttons down below. Let me show you right here. Click either left or right, it doesn't matter. Now we're going to jog. Once it finishes jogging, close the dialog box, go back to your centering cross, and click frame. If it does not spin directly back to the same position, we know our steps are off. So in this case, the steps are incorrect, so I need to go in to LightBurn and adjust the steps to make sure that that cross lines up with that piece of tape. So what I can do is draw another line. I'm going to put a number 2 below it, so I'll know that it's the second time that I'm framing this. Go back to my graphic, hit Start, bring up the jog of 530.354, then I'm going to click Jog again. Then I'm going to exit out. I'm going to hit Close after it jogs around. Now I'll know, did I adjust the correct way or did I adjust the wrong way? Now I'm going to go back to the framing cross. I'm going to mark number 3. And then do the same thing. So repeat again. Click Start. Lab risers or router risers, whatever you want to call them. To set my FUME extraction on, that way it's at the same height that we're burning to get better FUME extraction. At this point, we'll double check settings and run this job. I'm also going to use a 5mm split size with this 175mm lens. It'll run that just fine. 0.1 of overlap. Have the object diameter set correctly. The output center, if you need to adjust that, you can show it. So you can do the rotary framing. LightBurn brings up a framing cross, but I'm not worried about that because we've already accounted for it in our positioning on the workspace. And if you have an issue where LightBurn does not want to frame because you're outside of the workspace, make sure you have Ignore out of bounds shapes if possible selected. So make sure that's highlighted green. And before we run the job, there is one thing I do want to mention. You click Start and your graphic looks all garbled and jumbled. Go to Setup and you might have to change reverse rotary direction. Sometimes that's what you need to do to get it to rotate in the correct direction, depending on your laser and how everything is set up. So at this point, we are ready to run it. Just want to make sure I mention that. I'm going to hit Start, and here we go. All right, folks. I'm using the new Hotian 60 watt CO2 behind me. First time I've ever used it. I basically just got it set up and decided I want to do a tough video, a rotary dog bowl. Haven't set up the rotary, haven't used it before, so you basically saw me go through that. I wasn't sure on settings either. So as you saw, I did run a second pass around here. So the second pass really cleaned it up, and it was just, there wasn't a crosshatch or anything. It was just one pass, but I think I'll get settings dialed in. But I was just going off of my 30 watt CO2. But overall, it turned out well. Everything's evenly spaced, looks nice. I could have did a little bit better job and got the dog paws down just a little bit. None of them are off the edge. They're just really close. But it looks good. And I think the dog will be happy with it. But that's it. That's my process of getting a rotary set up to run a job. And I showed you how easy it was to get the Talon set up to run a job. If you're interested in a Rotoboss Talon, check the link in the description. It is an affiliate link. It will help me out. And then if you're interested in a Hotian CO2 Galvo or a UV or a fiber or a CO2 gantry, please check the link in the description and check them out. And that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or concerns, leave me a comment down below and I will make sure that I get to every comment. I think that's it for today. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. Most importantly, everyone, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.